Warheads, and welcome to The League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Deceiver LeBlanc, who was released November 2nd, 2010. She's been in the game forever.
I know.
Not exactly forever, but pretty close.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Feels like forever.
Yeah, I forget she's so old because I guess she got kind of a rework and then a revert of the rework.
Right?
What did they do to her?
She used to have, like, her old ult used to be...
It created a clone, didn't it? Who would then fire an ability?
Yeah.
When was this?
It was the rework that got reverted.
Okay.
So, like, her current kit isn't that different from her old kit, but they decided they wanted to mix things up, and they changed her ult around, and it was weird and kind of awkward, and they were like, no, we did it bad. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing her briefly, actually. I can't believe there was a window of my life when I played LeBlanc, and it was when Deathfire's Grasp was in the game.
Yeah.
And you would tell me the combo of, like, Deathfire's Grasp, Q, and then R, that's usually what you would double was the Q, which I think that's not what you do anymore generally.
It's best for instant burst, but if you... well, at least this is how I play her.
Okay.
If you got to close huge gaps, you double up the W.
Mm-hmm.
If you're attacking from a brush and you have a second, double the chain up for double the CC.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to pop in and just do a bunch of damage, then pop out, double up the Q.
There you go. Hot LeBlanc tips.
This is like too much for
John.
me. I need a champion who does like one thing just all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have to do something different based on the situation. It's like, no, my brain just fries.
I guess I can do that because I do play Lulu, but I don't know what it is. Like, champions that require a very specific combo rapidly is like, I really struggle with those. Yeah. So most assassins, I would say.
On the bright side, there's also no, like, bad thing. No matter what you double up, it's going to damage them. Yeah. So this... yeah.
Especially
follow
A-Ram.
your heart.
A-Ram, she's fucking buffed.
I'm not gonna do like you do, where like there's an enemy and then there's not an enemy. It's like I don't know what John just did, but he just deleted that motherfucker.
John pushed some buttons. I thought he was gonna die, but he's actually 8 miles behind me now, and I don't even know how he fucking got there. I just ulted his clone with a Lulu ult because I'm an idiot.
He's safe. Oh wait, no, he W'd back into them. What happened? Oh, now he's dead.
Yeah, I never know when
I
to
do
follow
that sometimes too.
Yeah.
I make a safe getaway and then I forget that the cooldown for my W is still up and I hit it again and go right back into the enemy team.
Oh, all right. Well, on the Riot Universe page, she has a bio and short story. I'm guessing she has more, but John and Mark had to really hunt it down, apparently.
Yeah, y'all. This wiki page for LeBlanc was a journey. It is not organized like every other wiki page for every other champion, where they have like a list of featuring and then mentioned and then alternate universe stories or like old universe stories. Like, it's not organized like that at all. It's basically just like a huge bio, and occasionally a word in the bio will be hyperlinked, and that will take you to a separate story entirely.
Yeah.
But then there's also a bunch of things that I know she was a part of that didn't get linked anywhere there that I had to like fish down from memory. It was weird. Was not a fan, but that's how LeBlanc do. Yeah,
we were saying right before, it's like it's pretty on brand for her that you can't really figure out what exactly is going on with it. It's weird. I don't know if if this hasn't been updated in some way, or I like the idea that we posted, which is that they did it on purpose, and like she's the one who they'll never actually compile the shit on. I don't know. Yeah. Something you didn't mention that's on her universe page is there's a portrait of her where I think her neck looks fucking tiny. There's something about that portrait.
What?
I don't know.
Can I see it?
Yeah, it's right there. But
so John, pull that up.
Her
for
jaw,
me.
like her chin, looks like you could cut stone with that motherfucker, and her neck looks like about like pencil thin. I don't know.
Oh, the portrait you mean? Yeah. Okay, I did kind of briefly see it, but I didn't really like click on it.
It's not like,
I didn't click on it.
Because sometimes they'll have like old concept art or things like, or like here's stuff that she was in development, but it's just like this dead-on portrait, which is like, I don't know. I mean, I can't draw that well, but it's just a weird thing to have on the universe page. Right?
Yeah, I don't. This is like what's on her driver's license. Like, it looks like her driver's license photo. If she looks too good, you'd look much worse in your driver's license photo.
Sitting at the DMV for 6 hours, LeBlanc.
Her makeup would be all run down.
I mean, her makeup kind of already looks rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's intentionally
Yeah.
that way. So I don't know if it's like I'm very tired today or very dumb, but I really had trouble following the LeBlanc bio. Particularly like the first half of it. This again felt maybe on brand. I was like, who are we talking about?
Yeah. It's kind of flowery, I guess I'd say.
A little.
A
Yeah.
little flowery. Like a rose. Like a black rose.
Thank you. I was hoping that would happen. I can do the notes on it. I assume she's got a lot of AU stuff because I think she's got.
She does have a handful of AUs.
Sure.
Yeah, not like a ton. I think she's like 6, but
Yeah. Well, you can correct me if I get
she's
anything
another
wrong.
one that. Yeah, she's one of those people that was also got a bunch of skins before they were doing skin stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to see which of those old ass skins like ended up getting into an AU. But mainline LeBlanc, she is the super mysterious matron of the Black Rose, which I know we talked about before in a couple other episodes. But they're this secret, cabal cult. They sometimes say been around since before Noxus. Again, LeBlanc, one of those champions that's been around for fucking millennia, since the Noxai tribes before Noxus. And there's all these kind of also like legends of like a pale woman who runs it. And kind of during the height of Mordekaiser's reign, this is like before the Rune Wars even, Mordekaiser kind of was a big like evil despot in the area that is now Noxus. And she was a part of his inner circle and eventually betrayed him and kind of cut off his link to the Well of Souls, which is at like the base of the Immortal Bastion, which is now in the center of Noxus's capital. And eventually kind of the legends of that all get lost. Like in the chaos of the Rune Wars, the history of like who LeBlanc is and the idea that the Immortal Bastion has this like super powerful well of power, I guess, are kind of lost to time, right? That being said, LeBlanc's still around. She still runs the Black Rose. She's kind of generally around the world in multiple places at once, furthering schemes and plans. One big one is that she, was kind of aiding Borum Darkwill when he was in power, twisting his mind. He was like her puppet, right? Essentially. Although it kind of talks about how he forsook, that's the word.
Forsooketh.
The Black Rose's advice and their advisors, and eventually it kind of forces LeBlanc to, step in and trick Swain into seemingly revealing her and the Cabal and assumedly executing them, but obviously not because she's still around. And she continues to kind of, whisper into Darkwill's ear, and they work to actually like make sure Swain's career ends in Ionia. So we can kind of assume that whatever happened to him in his defeat was kind of orchestrated by them. But Swain being Swain, he doesn't fall for such ploys, and he manages to become Swain as we know him. Right? He finds power in the Immortal Bastion. He overthrows Darkwill, and he is a thorn in LeBlanc's side. And so the current kind of state is that LeBlanc is still running the Black Rose and, scheming and doing all this stuff in the shadows. And, her and Swain are kind of like that's the at the heart of all the conflict in Noxus is between these two, where he's in power and doing his thing and and the Black Rose are trying to undermine him. And I guess also because he is so like, Noxus first and Empire above all, he's not easily... She can't like corrupt him in the way that she could corrupt Darkwill, and that's kind of the big problem. Is that he's a worthy adversary almost, So that's mostly it, right?
Yeah, I feel like we get a lot of old champions. Obviously, I feel like she's one of the few that I can remember where they specifically say that her background is a mystery, even to herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
How mysterious.
They do kind of play a little bit in the bio with this idea that, like, maybe LeBlanc's not even LeBlanc anymore, and she's just one of her various clones and illusions, and, like, does she even know? Which is an interesting idea, but it feels like undeveloped. It's just kind of in here, and I don't see it really anywhere else that I can think of, really.
Yeah.
It's touched on a little bit, I think, in Legends of Runeterra.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. I would like to see it get a little more development if that's like something they want to go with for her,
Yeah, because I like the idea. It's pretty neat.
I feel like it feels like a little bit of a stretch. I've looked at my face a lot. I feel like it'd be hard to forget it.
I think it's
No, so I think the thing is
But she doesn't know who she is.
She
right?
creates clones of herself, and they're fully sentient, but like follow her lead sometimes, or follow her demands sometimes. And the idea is like maybe when she created a clone of herself, like maybe the original died at some point, and the clones who all probably think they're LeBlanc are just kind of around, and the LeBlanc we know now is just a clone.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. They're all LeBlanc.
yeah,
With
you
a
know.
fraction of the power.
It's an
Tell one of Naruto's shadow clones that.
Once again, League lore is just Naruto in various ways, right? Clone Jutsu LeBlanc. I mean, it's an interesting idea, right? And it's something it's like a very sci-fi idea almost when you get into like, oh, we're building clones, we've got the same memories, and what happens when I get replaced. But like we were saying, it's not like it only shows up a bit in the bio, and in Legends of Runeterra even, it only shows up in like the form of like one or two quotes, and some of that's just to accommodate the fact that sometimes an enemy LeBlanc card will show up, right? We're like, we don't know if that's actually the case, or exactly what the deal is. Like that's kind of my issue with LeBlanc, is that like she's so. I get that she's a super mysterious, like, ooh, you never know what's going on character, but you also kind of never know what's going on from like
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I always struggle with stories that are like, oh, everyone's in the dark. And I'm like, well, I'm also, and can I have like a little bit of light, please? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
I feel like in the other stories we heard about the Black Rose, like you always know that LeBlanc is kind of the head of the Black Rose, and then there's like, I think it was always implied that there's kind of like an inner sanctum within the Black Rose of other people who have significant power, and then they're all manipulating these things within, the world. But the impression I got from reading the story is like, no, there is LeBlanc, and then literally everybody else is just puppets that she's manipulating. Like the nobles, like they have nothing, but they just think they do because that's what she wants them to think in order to get what she wants. But like the Black Rose itself is literally just LeBlanc.
Sure. I mean, even when, again, talking about Runeterra, when you look at her level up card art, right? Because when she's level 1, it shows her and she's surrounded by a bunch of different people, and they're all seemingly arguing. And then when she levels up, there's a reflection of them all in the table that they're all around, and they're all LeBlanc, right? And so that's certainly something they're playing with, this idea of like you're saying, maybe LeBlanc and her clones are the only ones who are actually, if there's any sort of inner circle, it's just her and all of her little weird mimics.
Isn't Elise in the Black Rose though?
Yeah.
Technically, she's another one who like all she does is bring magical artifacts back to LeBlanc.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Cassiopeia is as well, but again, right, like, and her mother too. But I think that's the same thing where, from what this is telling us, we can kind of infer that they're all pawns. They're all pawns in LeBlanc's grand game, right?
John, can I request a parody song?
Of
I want Agatha All Along, but it's LeBlanc.
that'd be nice. I'll work on it.
Thank
I'll
you.
see what I can come up with.
It's a short song, so
It is pretty short. I think one of the things that struck me about this too is that I don't know what LeBlanc's plan is.
Yeah. We can
neither.
There's a lot of
It seems like she has the power to do pretty much anything. Like it seems like, I mean, she's shown that she's capable of destabilizing governments fairly easily. And it looks like she already has a ton of control within Noxus, and if she wanted more control, I feel like she could get it. But I don't know what the end game is.
Yeah, we can knowing that she has some relation to like Rel, right? That because like Rel's whole thing is she's kind of like a metal bender, for lack of a better word, and that LeBlanc was like directly involved in getting Rel into like the Black Rose's clutches, right? And that and her being around for Mordekaiser, the assumption that I kind of work on is that the Immortal Bastion, and we see this in the short story, is like this super source of power, this like well of souls that's kind of at the heart of it, right? And LeBlanc, we can kind of assume, or I assume at least, kind of knows that Mordekaiser is biding his time and will eventually, like so many other things in Runeterra, return and cause all sorts of fucking problems. And it seems like maybe it's all towards the end goal of just being the one who's in charge of everything, and Mordekaiser, like, not even Swain, but like Mordekaiser is the biggest obstacle to all that. But I agree, right? Like, the rules are really vague around like what can LeBlanc do or not do, and B, like, what is, like, we should be able to know what her end game is, even if no one else in the universe does, right?
That'd be nice.
Yeah, she's also one that I'm fine with some of her past being mysterious, but I would like to know more about her past, to be honest. Because we know, they say she's a sorceress, but that's kind of all we really know about her, and I would like to know a little bit more. I don't need, like, a full-on baby LeBlanc gets her powers, but, you know, something. How is she thousands of years old? She's just a lady, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like she's wrapped in vagaries, and I get that that's the character to a degree, but it certainly feels like it's just Riot's a bit like, they're like, oh, thank God, here's someone who we don't ever have to really get into the details with.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it feels like. It doesn't feel like it's intentional. It feels like they didn't know, and they didn't feel like filling those holes in. So they're just like, those holes are on purpose.
Yeah.
It's Swiss cheese. You're like, not really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if we had some stuff more about what she's doing now, because I like the idea of her and Swain being like these two like grandmaster chess players, and they just have these like legions of like agents who are like, you know, feints and counter feints and just constantly like, you know, like worthy adversaries in this way. But it'd be nice to know like what she's actively doing right now, and some more like, you know, some more like tangible details around that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I like the story a little bit because we at least get, you know, a little bit of context about one current plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
It almost feels a little like what she's doing is kind of petty, almost, because she seems so powerful. And then it's like, go somewhere else.
There was one quote in here that I had forgotten about that made me think that maybe she also had some sort of context about the void that maybe she was trying to work her way up.
I know
to,
which one you're talking about.
I like that.
Her actions have pushed Runeterra to the brink of all-out war many times. In the wake of desperate campaigns across the Freljord, on Targon's Peak, and deep in Shurima's deserts, the darkest magic has begun to spread once more, circling closer and closer to Noxus. And I feel like all the places that they named there are places where we kind of have confirmed void activity.
I think that the idea of like this very dark evil power stirring, because that's like Mordekaiser is super localized to Noxus, so it seems like it's talking about something bigger, like you're saying, like a void type thing.
Right. And maybe she like doesn't know a lot about the void, but is concerned that like she knows it's powerful and worries that if it gets close enough to Noxus, it would have the power to bring back Mordekaiser or some shit like that.
Sure.
Maybe.
I like the idea of like LeBlanc being sort of like a begrudging, not good person, but someone who fights off these evil Runeterra world-ending threats, but just in service of, I want to be the world-ending threat, and I can't have Mordekaiser and the Void and Ruin King fucking all this shit up, you know? So we'll take care of them for now.
I like that idea. That'd be a nice, fun, like, accidental superhero.
Yeah.
I feel like, God, was that basically the new He-Man?
Oh, I didn't watch
on
it.
Netflix.
I didn't watch the old He-Man.
I forgot you were watching that
the
show.
New Masters of the Universe, because He-Man and Skeletor got taken away, and there was a big power that was going to destroy everything, so all the bad guys and good guys teamed up to...
I mean... On a more broad sense, I didn't watch it. I'm sorry, I didn't watch it. But
you guys didn't watch the Masters of the Universe?
I saw parts of it. It feels so fuzzy in my head because I remember I watched a couple episodes with you at like 3 or 4 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. So I went out into the living room and you were in the middle of an episode. So it feels very much like a dream. Like I had completely forgotten all of that until you just said it.
I like the trope of like when darkness has like a vested interest in like a balance, and so we'll sometimes team up to stop something like the Void, where it's like, oh, the obliteration of everything. Could be fun, but again, it's just the problem is that we need a little more meat on these here bones. You know what I mean? Cool. We want to dive into this.
We forgot to do impressions.
Oh shit!
I did write down the quotes. All right. Well,
I mean,
rewind.
Hello, lore hit.
Take it from the top.
No, we're starting it over.
I'm taking another shot of whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're really good.
Go ahead, right out of the bottle again, John.
Okay.
Cuppy.
I'll kick us off.
All right.
All right.
Places to go, people to be.
Oh.
The black rose shall bloom once more.
Don't pretend that was you.
No, I was just trying to hear
Really
her
well
voice
done.
again.
Good job.
Thank you. You wrote a couple down for me. One of them is the only line that I would have remembered. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Does she have an accent? I wasn't paying attention.
She sounds like a woman.
All women have the women accent.
Yeah.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Patient summoner.
Ooh. It's like a purr.
She still says summoner.
Patient
She
summoner.
does still say summoner.
Oh no.
Sona did for a while. Did she change? Did they change her?
I don't think they changed her
There used to
either.
be a
Only
you can hear me,
Mm-hmm.
summoner. What masterpiece shall we play today? I play her even, and I don't remember if that's her locking quote, but it was for a long time.
I think it feels like it is. I haven't played her recently. She could
All right,
use a
well,
VO update.
We made it up. We did 2 impressions at once because we forgot to do the LeBlanc one. All right, the story.
Story,
I also
yeah.
had written here as just like an interesting fun fact that wasn't necessarily part of the bio, but I guess is relevant, is that LeBlanc was one of the founding members of the Black Rose, along with Vladimir. The two of them essentially founded the whole organization.
Oh, and Vlad's like, he dipped. He's not interested anymore.
So you know the group of barbarians that they said kind of attacked the Noxus to overthrow Mordekaiser.
Kind of.
They all worshipped Vladimir as a god, and LeBlanc was like, "Yo, how about you and me? We take our power to the big guy."
Yeah.
Jesus.
She shows I mean, she shows up in Vladimir's bio, actually, like by name even, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
But he's not in the Black Rose anymore, is what I'm saying.
He's still
he
technically in it, but
Oh.
it's he's one of the champions that's still an active member, but he's probably about to start his own splinter group because he has his own worshippers.
I'm
Yeah, he kinda
loving
does
the
his own
idea of these 2 overly dramatic cape-wearing people, LeBlanc and Vlad, together. It's reminding. I'm picturing them as kind of like in Taz, that last arc they had to do.
The elf twins.
Yeah, the elf twins who were like very evil, but in like a perky way. That's kind
Very
of what I'm
Vogue.
imagining. Yeah, they were great. Anyway, sorry.
Interesting.
The short story,
Short story number 1.
the one that's linked on the universe page. I
Yeah, the
assume?
one that's linked on the universe
Yeah.
page. It's called Thorns of the Black Rose. It's by L.J. Goulding, who did that
Which is
Pantheon
credited on the universe page.
Yeah, I know.
For once.
Yeah.
The stories usually are. It's actually rare that they're not.
At least the older ones sometimes.
That's true. The
don't
old ones
get,
never are. Yeah.
Did we give the bio credit, by the way? It's David Slagle. Is who did it. Yeah, I kind of like this one. It's from LeBlanc's perspective, and she is leading a Noxian general named Brannon Granth. And she's leading him down at night deep under the immortal bastion, and we kind of get immediately that she is disguised as someone else, someone who General Branth trusts. And we kind of learn through this that the bastion is off limits by way of Swain's orders. LeBlanc kind of notes that it's really just a ploy by Swain to kind of find out who his enemies are in the first place. And kind of throughout it, she's got like kind of a grudging sort of respect for Swain, like, oh, he's really, he's done a very good job of building his legend, and she kind of hates him for it. But God damn it, does she respect it? But she's leading Granth through. Granth is very bitter towards Swain. He's kind of seeking out the Black Rose to overthrow Swain, and LeBlanc is kind of helping guide him to meet, quote unquote, her, whoever she is. And as we kind of go on, we kind of see that LeBlanc is disguised as Granth's cousin, a guy named Hadrian. As she's leading, if I can change, you can change.
I didn't even plan to say that. It just came out of me. 3 impressions for y'all. You're welcome.
Yeah, we make up
Good.
for it.
We can skip the Rocky impression when we get to the R's then.
Oh, what's happening? Oh, she's taking him through the bastion, and it's full of power. It thrums with power, she says. And as she's kind of leading him through, these hooded figures start kind of passing by them, and they are clones of her. And she's like, "Oh, I see myself passing by. I look tired. I need to take a fucking
Oh my god,
rest."
is that my hair? Ugh.
Oh,
Look at those crow's feet.
And this is where we see the Well of Souls seems like a big fuck off blue kind of Shadow Isles-y looking type thing kind of at the base of it. And this is also where Mordekaiser's empty like iron suit still is. And finally LeBlanc kind of reveals the body of Grant's cousin, reveals Hadrian's corpse. And as she's doing that, various clones of her start kind of gathering around these two and talking in unison. And Grant kind of sort of realizes what's going on, or thinks he does, because like LeBlanc was like, oh, he thinks he's finally understands what's happening, but really he doesn't even know shit. But he does swear fealty to LeBlanc, and LeBlanc even internally is kind of like, he thinks he's going to get the killing blow. I'm really just using him to even just test Swain's defenses. And she kind of marks him as a member of the Black Rose, and he's under her thrall or some shit like that.
I gotta say, if I were him and I was lured into this place and just surrounded by clones of this person, I would also swear fealty to them, even if I wasn't 100% on board. Well, yeah, no, sure.
Especially with like your cousin's like body there, like okay,
like a puppet, yeah.
Sure,
And
yeah, whatever you want.
the Mordekaiser armor must be so intimidating, like in an IRL setting. Like,
Right.
He's scary in games.
Hey, LeBlanc, could you take me around to the back of that Mordekaiser armor so we can check out that dump truck?
Nasty.
If you're interested, there's a follow-up to this story, also written by David Slagle, where we get to see the general actually attempting to kill Swain.
Yeah.
Oh, that probably
called,
didn't go super well.
It's called the Black Powder Plot. Spoiler alert, he does not succeed.
Is this linked with Swain's stuff, you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I really liked this. It made me feel like I understood LeBlanc at least a little bit more compared to her bio.
Yeah, I think this was the first confirmation I think of, because I don't know if it's specifically mentioned in the bio, of her having multiple active clones at once. Because in my head, I actually thought that she could clone herself once in game, and she just had to send that one clone away to do something, or she could like make herself look like someone. But like, I don't think I realized she could splinter into so many different pieces until this short story.
Where do they go?
Wherever she tells them to go.
But like,
Yeah.
do they stay around forever? Like, if she makes a new clone of herself, is it like having a baby? Like, you can't get rid of it?
She's got to eat them.
get rid
of
the
the baby.
baby
Let's
inside
be-
of her.
To phrase it like that, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry, what'd you say, John? Did you just say she eats them?
Yeah, to get him back inside.
What the fuck, man?
Hey, it's not
like-
weird.
They're all just like in a break room, just like smoking, like, I'm so sick of this shit.
Do you think she's accidentally made too many? She's like, there's fucking 379 of me now, and I'm really, this sucks.
I'll have some LeBlanc a la carte.
I mean, you know, it's a good question, honestly, right? That's what I'm saying, like, the idea of playing around with these sort of clones that are becoming rogue or like their own people, you know, is something you could certainly kind of get into with her. But for now, they all seem to kind of vibe, right? Like I said, she starts talking and they all start talking with the same voice, so it seems like for now she can kind of handle it, you know? But, you know, who
Yeah, I
knows?
wonder if like if she's too splintered, maybe she starts to lose control, or like, you know, takes too much of her power or something. Maybe that's how
I just
some
wonder
go
if they like poof and disappear when she doesn't need them anymore, or if they're permanent clones.
I mean, they poof in game.
Yeah.
I know.
I assume
But,
it's like in game, but
That's the only thing about her in-game kit that seems to be represented in the lore, so I don't know
do you think if they do poof, they leave like all the clothes and shit? Like there's just like 5 or 6 belts just left all around the bottom of the fucking immortal bastion.
She has so many. That's why she wears the same thing every day, because she just has so many copies of it. She never has to do laundry.
You know, I mean, bring it back, like, I guess I mentioned it, but there is like a very specific call out of like, she sees the clone passing by. She's like, oh, I see myself and I look tired. But she also then says, no matter, you know, I'll be done with this shortly. So maybe having a bunch of clones up does like wear down on her, right? And it's just like, well, once I'm done with this guy, I'll turn back into just one LeBlanc Uno.
I'll eat all my clones and have a nice bath.
Those poor clones.
But yeah, I like this one too. I thought it was neat. It's got a nice kind of creeping, like things just get creepier, you know. And when it finally has like the reveal of the cousin's corpse, you know, like we I guess like as the reader we assume that Hadrian is dead, but it is neat that she's got his corpse like right there to show, like, by the way, I'm not your cousin at all, in case you were confused.
Yeah. I also like the absolutely not uncertain threat there, where like his body was there, and they're like, oh, and then also there's a blank space right next to his body, and hey, we have a proposal for you. Would you like to come work for us?
I would.
Sign me up. I like the art too for this one. There's because like sometimes stories will have like a little unique piece of artwork kind of at the top before you scroll down, and I actually I thought it was kind of neat looking, like all the little LeBlanc clones with their glowing eyes kind of around her marking the sky or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing in this at the start, it talks about like, oh, this general doesn't see the Ocnun like text that's kind of all over the walls. Which if you remember from like that Ezreal story where he had that weird bell thing, that's like Ocnun was like the same text on that, right? And it's this weird like language of the dead related to Mordekaiser. So yeah, neat little detail.
Oh, that's right. You guys did point out that was related to Mord, right? The bell.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I really knew nothing about Mordekaiser.
Yeah,
It's his fancy dead language.
Oh my god, it's
Not
fancy
his, but
dead
he learned
language.
this is his dark speech.
His little bell. He wore it around his neck like a puppy. You always know when that dumb truck is coming.
Beeping when he's backing up.
We're saving all our good Mordekaiser content. Okay.
Now, she also shows up in a few champions' bios.
Yeah.
We had mentioned the Elise bio, Spider Queen by Graham McNeil, where she's kind of directly in this. After Elise's husband poisons her, LeBlanc approaches Elise while she was recovering from the poison, and she tells her all about the Black Rose and how it could provide her power. Because LeBlanc doesn't really care who runs the noble families in Noxus, as long as everyone who's running them kind of reports into her. Then Elise set out to the Shadow Isles to find the skull of Mordekaiser for the Black Rose. And then after becoming Spider-Woman, TM, LeBlanc realized that this would allow her to travel back and forth to the Shadow Isles, which would make recovering the magical artifacts that were in Thresh's vault when the ruination happened much easier. So she's like, all right, cool, you can work for me now, and I'll just give you, acolytes that you can feed to the spider god. It'll be fine.
Yep. Easy peasy. Why doesn't she just give her clones?
I was just going to say that, Mark.
Because she has to eat them or she can't get her power back.
John's really set on this fucking fanon idea that he's come up with.
Oh, man.
LeBlanc Lecter.
Yeah, I know we mentioned the Rel bio. She also shows up in, like, the deal with Rel is that Rel gets kind of put into this weird magic academy. It's very like Jack from Mass Effect, and LeBlanc has like a direct hand in that all, like interacting with Rel's mother, I think, in terms of like getting her in there.
Yeah,
and
she made her mother like the headmistress of that school.
Which I guess maybe she's qualified for. I don't know, right? Like, who knows? And then I think LeBlanc is also involved, related to Rel, like with Samira. Is that right?
Yeah.
And getting Samira to go get Rel after Rel escapes.
Right. So essentially, one of the things that they were doing in this school was Rel would constantly have to fight other kids that had magical powers, and then the loser would never be seen from again. And then she ended up finding out that what they were doing with the losers, because every time she'd beat someone, she would get a new magical crest added to make her more powerful. And she found out that they were actually draining the kids that she defeated and turning them into sigils that she got. And then they're like, basically their husks, like their bodies, were just emotionless puppet people that called the Null that got stuck behind after they were drained. And then Rel found all of the Null when she escaped. So essentially, she knows all that horrific shit that the Black Rose was doing, and LeBlanc was like, all right, well, I don't want this getting out. That wouldn't be great for us. So she hired, Samira's
Samira.
boss, basically, to get Samira to hunt her down.
Yeah. I think even that, and that, like, she still wants Rel, because it seems like the idea is that because Rel can control metal, she'll be able, like, she's like the silver bullet against Mordekaiser, which I think is fucking stupid personally. Because, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, we haven't gotten into any of these characters, so maybe it makes more sense when we get to them. But it just seems like Mordekaiser is kind of like, if he's this weird undeath tyrant guy, like, he's maybe a little bit of a thing beyond just the fact that he's got a metal outfit. But what do I know, right? Like, maybe
at the very least she could, like, hold him in place, something like that, which would probably be really helpful.
We'll see. I'll be curious to see what happens with it when we get to him.
She also shows up in the Scion bio. LeBlanc is the one who revived Scion in the Immortal Bastion as a gift to Borim Darkwill.
Because I looked at the Scion bio, and it is at the Black Rose does run it, but I guess does, like, LeBlanc show up explicitly? She did in the old Scion bio, in the old Scion stuff, I think, because that's when she and Swain were still buddy.
Yeah, I think my idea that it still is because I'm still convinced that there is no Black Rose and it is just LeBlanc.
I guess that'd be fair, right? Like, if we assume
anytime they say Black Rose, I'm just like, okay, well, that was LeBlanc.
Yeah, it's a fair point, I suppose.
I mean, I would say at the very least she is, I don't think anything happens within the Black Rose without her knowing, even if there are other members.
Right, because I think, like, in the old lore too, and I don't know if they kept this, but part of the revival process was Vlad using his blood magic, using the blood of Jarvan IV to revive. I don't know if they stuck with that or not.
It's weird because I think because that happened, like, that's all from the Scion rework, right? I don't know about, like, old Scions, some crazy old bullshit, I'm sure. But I think that also was kind of going on around the time lore reworks were kind of happening. So I wonder if, like, that part is, like, kind of at the very tail end of, like, old lore before things got fully kind of. I could be wrong, but I get that sense. Like,
but they did. I mean, they did reincorporate the kidnapping of Jarvan IV for Legends of Runeterra. So.
Yeah, this is another. I think I mentioned this in Jarvan's episode too, which is that I think that is not canon. I think that is something that is like an alternate storyline, because we get into that. Because when you get into that, you also get into the idea of, like, Cythria, but Cythria, if you remember from the Garen First Shield novella, as, like, this badass, like, leader of, like, the Griffin Knights, the Silver Wings or whatever. Which is, is obviously not the case now, and I think that that's just kind of like, here's an alternate storyline that could have happened, is that J4 got kind of kidnapped and LeBlanc was involved in it, I think. So it's kind of in a weird space with that a little bit, I want to say.
Yeah. Multiverse.
Yeah. I mentioned Vlad. Did she show up elsewhere?
Yeah, she shows up in the Sisterhood of War story by Ian St. Martin. Essentially in 996, the year. LeBlanc.
That's helpful, because I know what year it is currently in Runeterra. Like,
it's current year in Runeterra.
Awesome. Excellent.
Great. Thanks.
LeBlanc demanded Tifanelgi to return Riven's runic blade back to her, like to go get the runic blade from Riven and return it back to LeBlanc, since LeBlanc made it, and she's the one who originally enchanted her blade, and threatened her life if she didn't do so. And I have a quote here from that story. A hand extended from the dark, cupping Tifalengi's chin. What we have entrusted you to find, to return to us, cannot be replaced. The hand tilted Tifalengi's head, and she looked up into a perfect reflection of her own face, grinning with another person's smile. You, however, can.
Ooh, neat. That's cool. That makes me excited to get to that story. That's pretty cool. I guess, okay, so that makes me think then, because I think in Aurelia, we were talking about how in that little teaser Aurelia had, Riven's runic blade shows up, and I guess I had just thought that maybe they hand those out sometimes, but it seems like it's just a one-time thing, so I guess we can assume that is indeed Riven depicted in that weird relief, almost.
Now, Riven got that blade from a claw machine on the boardwalk.
Yes, big prize. Okay, it's interesting that LeBlanc enchanted it herself. Interesting. Huh.
And finally, the other place she shows up, which we're pretty sure on this one, is the Garen First Shield story.
That's definitely
Where
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc created a clone of Garen's great uncle Hargold in order to pressure Lord Eldwin of Knockmerch to side with Noxus, taking advantage of the lack of communication between that nation and Demacia. Her efforts, however, end up failing, and Knockmerch renews its truce with Demacia.
She tried.
She did her best. Garen got in the way like a big old chump.
Yeah, he's a big old chump.
Okay. I think that's all. Yeah, that's all
I think that's all the canon shit that I had. There's a
think
handful
so.
of old lore.
Yeah. I guess only other thing is that in Legends of Runeterra, which I guess for now we'll kind of assume this is some canon stuff, is that there's an interaction between her and Lysandra, where Lysandra seems to kind of have a vague familiarity with her. So like maybe she was around during the old original War of the Three Sisters, and who knows, was maybe one of the three sisters. Everybody's fucking LeBlanc. Or LeBlanc.
Everybody's fucking her, huh?
Yeah. Let me say.
Got a lot of clones. With enough of them, there's a good enough chance.
Right. So, I think
Wait,
that's the only other one for like champion relations, anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's a few other champion relations that's just not like big stories around them. Actually, I have a list of champion relations at the end.
Okay. Then we can
the
hit
ones
that.
that don't get whole stories, but
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we can hit that after, I guess, kind of when we're doing fun facts and stuff or something like that. I don't know.
sure.
I did read the old lore if we want to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of it's the same idea as the new bio, but with an important closing paragraph.
Well, I don't remember the important closing paragraph, to be honest with you. Is it just that her and Swain are like on the same team and they're working together? Is that like the big difference? Or is there something else that you're thinking of?
Let's see.
Because I read it, but I also kind of skimmed it. Because I was like, okay, it's like you're saying, it's essentially the same idea, but just been transferred over into new Runeterra.
Right. The most important part. People thought that essentially the Black Rose disappeared when martial power became important in Noxus, and there was less room for guile. But when LeBlanc re-emerged at the gates of the Institute of War, it became clear that these masters of shadow and flame had simply been biding their time, waiting for a new global authority to emerge. The League of Legends.
So is that intended to imply that, like, she is... Again, is she everybody? Is she just, like, all the summoners and running all of fucking the Institute of War?
It was LeBlanc all along.
I mean, man, do you remember when we put mustaches on everyone and everyone was Draven for a day? I want that for LeBlanc, too.
They give her the eye makeup. Give everyone.
Yeah, everyone gets the eye makeup.
I wouldn't mind it, to be honest with you. Because that's essentially the way she's written, right? And that's why we're constantly like, oh, she's got this relation and that relation and this relation. It's because she has her finger in a million pies, as it were.
Ew, get your finger out of the pie, LeBlanc.
It's fine.
Who puts a finger in a pie, honestly?
Nope. There's a nursery rhyme about a guy putting his thumb in a
What is that?
Put his
pie.
finger in a pie.
Little Jack Horner, was that it?
Sat in the corner eating his... Yeah. Okay. Stuck in his thumb, pulled out a plum. So,
And put
And
his
said,
finger
what
in
a
a
good
pie.
boy am I.
yes. Thank you.
Sorry. I had it.
So she also shows up in 3 Journal of Justice articles.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. One of them, like I said, she is buddy with Swain. She actually shows up as his like date to like a gala or like a ball or some shit. But they kind of note that like, oh, even though she's as old as Born Darkwell, she's looking hella fine. She's like, what's your routine?
That was
Drop
a
that
direct
skincare.
quote from the
Drop that skincare routine, LeBlanc.
Yeah. I guess, okay, so that's something from the old lore that they kind of, that is the thing with LeBlanc is that it's not just like been her the whole time, but rather LeBlanc is like a moniker or like a title. And her original name was like Yvain, I want to say.
Amelia LeBlanc.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. It's like, and it's just the idea that like, oh, when the old LeBlanc is gonna retire, whatever the fuck that means exactly, a new one is chosen. And so, like, even though she is the current LeBlanc, there have been others who were a different person. But it's just always like, it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts, essentially. Right.
Right. Now, she shows up in a Mailbag of Justice here.
Ooh, this was neat.
It was neat. So someone had written in, and they wrote, Beautiful LeBlanc, where have you been growing those rose bushes? Just under a few days ago, while competing in matches with you, I learned I wanted to try my fingers at it. Do you raise your plants close to Noxus or tournament grounds? Surely you cannot suspect those rumors of big old ugly ravens making the garden protectors. They likely spit as soon as the winds raise their wings higher. But I hear Kalamanda has some rich soil. Surely you know how to nurture your plants with that. Please excuse my poor proper punctuality. This Yordle typer device has a problem with shifting unexpectedly. Maybe you would consider accompanying me in garnishing a new one? We could converse further about raising plants, and maybe, if you would be inclined in finding a new outfit, of course, accepting it only as a gift from a friendly admirer. I would suggest against snakeskin, though. It rubs irritatingly close. And this whole message had, like, random letters capitalized. And when translated, it says, Beware Judgment Records. Curious. Might see Black Rose threat. Vayne.
Yeah.
And like Vayne,
shortly
like
after
the champion
Vayne
was added to the... and, you know, everyone was like, oh, she hates the magics. And so they wrote in to warn LeBlanc that Vayne might be out to get her.
Good luck, Vayne, you dumbass.
And LeBlanc responded, Don't ever garden uninformed. Worry can quickly ensue. I think you should know a little, or all you possibly can, about anything you do. These tactics can save petty costs or prevent threats from ruining everything. There, in many instances, are a couple or several tricks to help factions who garden frequently, intent on consistency. Books on the subject say eliminating pests is paramount. Our gardens focus on organization, seeds in place, but it is important we remember our roots, remain, above all else, informed. Which translates, if you read every fourth word, Don't worry, I know all about these petty threats. There are several factions intent on eliminating our organization, but we remain informed. Your loyalty will be rewarded when we rule all of Noxus.
This was fun. I think this is like the type of thing I would like more when it comes to LeBlanc, is like if she's this kind of super duper magical spy master almost, like seeing how they do their little spy games and they're like having fun coded, like almost like ARG type things that you could get into as like a lore head would be a lot of fun to continue. Like,
that would be
bring
fun.
back.
I would like to see LeBlanc's reaction if she heard you say how they do their little spy games.
Little spy games or whatever.
Yeah. You play with your spy trinkets.
Little magnifying glass. Here are these glasses. Put them on. They let you see behind you.
Like what every 11-year-old ordered out of the back of like Mad Magazine or some old bullshit, you know? Oh man.
The only other place she shows up, and it's not technically an article, was the infamous reflection incident of issue 25, where Jarvan's fighting Swain, and you see LeBlanc's face reflected in Swain's armor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. She has a judgment too. Which I did read, but it wasn't like, I didn't find it terribly interesting. It's just showing her getting named the new LeBlanc, essentially. It is funny, there's a moment when you go in to get your judgment, there's like this inscription that, doesn't it read, I don't remember the exact wording, but it's like, oh, the true enemy is like yourself, or something like
something
that.
Dumb like that.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, that's kind of ironic, because I'm LeBlanc, that's funny. She kind of laughs at it. I don't know, there's not too much that's crazy with it, you know? She just wants to become the ruler of Noxus again, or whatever, like her and Swain.
Does she do it? Does she get to join the league?
Oh yeah, shocking!
Nice.
Right? She gets
What
in.
league?
The League of Legends. Yeah.
Now she's not in any cinematics that I could find.
That's wild.
Yeah.
She can't be filmed, you know?
That's true.
Don't look at me. Don't look in my eyes.
I'd love some hint of LeBlanc's existence in Arcane, by the way.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
That'd be tons of fun. You know?
Maybe there is. Maybe literally everyone we've met in Arcane is just LeBlanc. Just what she does for fun.
I would
Plays
love
out
it
these
if,
drama.
if there was like a bit like where it's like they both reveal themselves as like, oh shit, you're LeBlanc, I'm LeBlanc. Oh fuck, sorry.
Oh, damn.
LeBlanc Prime didn't tell me what was going on. It's like a miscommunication. My bad, sorry.
This is where the clones go. She just puts them in little simulations. Maybe we're all LeBlanc. Whoa. I'm not high.
Sure, yeah.
Now, I only have a few quotes written. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of quotes,
She's
honestly.
like, why are they all in caps?
Because that's just what happens when I copy-paste them.
Oh, okay.
She's not yelling, then, don't worry.
She didn't seem like a yeller, She's above that.
She does have an Archer reference, though.
Really?
That's one of her quotes. She says, lying is like 95% of what I do. Which is a direct Archer quote, complete with her inflection.
They were not subtle about it. I thought it was going to be the ants line.
Danger zone!
What if that was just all of her VO was only Archer quotes? Fuck it, right?
They were like, we know spies, baby.
Shavana! Anywho.
Yeah.
Great Archer impression, buddy.
Thanks. I was struggling to find a league name that ended in Anna quick enough.
No, that's really good, honestly.
Good. I don't know if any others do, so.
You do Lily on. No.
Surprised to see me. I feel like the thing about her quotes too is that they're also
pretty
just like
generic.
common generic things to say. But this might be an Agent Smith reference from Matrix Reloaded, because also said it when there were like a million different clones of himself. So
Okay.
That would make sense then.
Yeah.
and then would I lie? From Spaceballs.
Sure, John. Sure.
Also, when it was Dark Helmet pretending to be her dad, and then it turned out it wasn't her dad. It was just an illusion, Michael.
I was gonna say, he just said illusion way too much like Job.
Why doesn't she have that as a quote? Well, she just...
Oh my god, they're illusions. Tricks are what a whore does for money. That should be LeBlanc's quote. Come on, Riot.
Yeah, fuck it. I would like her to get a VO update. I'd like her to get an update kind of a la Swain, where Swain has a bunch of things and knows everything. It'd be nice to have her have something kind of similar. I liked a couple of Swain's quotes to her, where he's like, an assassin is due at any moment. It's how I know LeBlanc cares. Or when they're on the same team, he'll say, I suppose this makes us enemies with benefits.
Oh, damn.
They're
They'd
kinda
be
fun.
like, that'd be a hot enemies to lovers.
We have, I mean, again, who knows if this is canon, but we do have a rider confirmation of that ship.
Oh. They just like angry bang?
Kind of.
Banging.
I like the idea that that dynamic, I guess, not relationship, but like people who are just like I was saying, they're just so skilled at this whole thing that like them sitting in a room, it's like we could fight and get into this, but like I'm gonna do all this shit and I know you're gonna do all this shit, so let's just have a drink and see where the night takes us. Like fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Could be fun.
Yeah. Now, she's part of a handful of AUs,
Dope.
including Day Job,
This is the
where each skin represents champions and their daily job routine.
Is this prestigious?
This is prestigious, LeBlanc.
Hell yeah, that was my guess.
LeBlanc is currently evading an international manhunt after making a jetliner filled with passengers disappear, then realizing she had no idea where they went or how to bring them back.
I like incompetent LeBlanc. Sorry,
Right?
but like, it's like, oh, fuck.
That's true.
Oopsies.
That is really funny because like normally they just do the same shit, but this is like this feels like an actual AU. It's like LeBlanc's actually shit at magic.
Yeah. Now she
We're
really
kind of
needs
good.
Job quotes.
Yeah, like too good, but she doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
She thought it was a trick, but then, whoops, accidentally
fuck.
sent him to a different dimension. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, you a bee.
Oh my god, LeBee?
Oh, that's coming. That's common. Do you think they pick bee skins just based on the name?
100%.
Yes.
Except
know.
then they did Oriana.
Yeah.
That one
was
didn't
pretty
fit exactly,
No,
but but it was still cute.
But Teemo 100% was
Yeah.
BMO
Oh, God,
because
absolutely.
of his name, yeah.
And we've got Eclipse. Long ago, an order of monastic knights slew the vile gods of the old world using esoteric powers granted by the moon and sun. Now the world has grown dark and violent as those selfsame deities prepare their return, challenged only by the light of the eclipse.
Okay, I'm going to try to guess which one this is. Is it Ravenborn?
Now this is going to be a tough one. It's not Ravenborn, though.
I don't know then.
The thing is, I don't really remember a lot of LeBlanc's skins. I remember this
I'm
one in
looking at 'em.
Mistletoe. Or, sorry, I remember the Magician in Mistletoe. Those are the only two
Is
I
it
really
Mistletoe?
remember.
Because that'd be
It's not
funny.
mistletoe. This is the first time, I think, where there are several separate skins for the same champion as part of the same AU, and they kind of tell a whole little story. So the first one is Coven LeBlanc. They came to LeBlanc as if in some forgotten melody, songs of the Black Crane and its titanic heart, long imprisoned within the deepest reaches of the Elderwood. Her sisters fell before the forest's defenders, but LeBlanc did find her prize, and now her patron has begun to wake, stirring itself from a dreamless slumber of unhallowed centuries.
Okay.
And the next one is Elderwood LeBlanc. When the Coven first rose to power, they craved the living enchantments of the Elderwood, a tool, they believed, for the resurrection of their dark patrons. Thus did they fall upon the great forest and slaughter its children, until a lone Sylvan stood against them, stealing the witches' lives, their magic, and even their names. So, the Coven came and attacked the Elderwood, and then this fucking Sylvan was like, fuck y'all, killed them all, and then took LeBlanc's name and face.
Okay.
Became Elderwood LeBlanc.
That's a
And
really
then-
neat idea. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, there's a third act to this play.
Oh, okay.
Because Coven LeBlanc has a prestige skin.
Oh.
Resurrected by the Black Crane, LeBlanc has rejoined her sisters with renewed purpose, yet the gifts of the old gods do not come without a price. As her body twists into new and strange forms, LeBlanc has discovered that she is the vessel through which her own dead god will return, and that it has granted her impossible power.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
attacked, killed, and then resurrected.
That is neat. That's a really, I guess if you're going to do something like that, LeBlanc's a really good character to do that through, you know? It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun way of playing with it. It's like almost in a weird sort of meta way, you know? But that's cool.
Also part of the reason why she's not part of more AUs, because 3 of her skins are just as one AU. She's also part of Project.
I had no idea she had this skin. I've never seen this skin in my
Yeah,
life.
same.
Yeah. I think it came out the same time as Program Lysandra, I want to say.
Must not have been playing then. I can't believe I've never seen it in game, though.
Right?
I don't know.
She's got so many good skins.
True.
But yeah, this one is among the megastructures and packed streets of a future controlled by global corporations, a shadow war rages between rebellious augmented humans and newly empowered artificial beings. The winners will shape the course of history, and the losers will be forced to evolve. And this one's kind of separated into the project skins and the program skins. So project are kind of the augmented beings, whereas programs are like just quite literally just programs and software and various hardware that gets infected. This one's Program LeBlanc. Marketed as a diplomat software avatar, LeBlanc is in fact a duplicitous intelligence that can interact seamlessly with human users. Created only to deceive, she has infiltrated a number of the most powerful corporations on the planet and quietly awaits her final orders.
Okay. Pretty on point for LeBlanc, I guess.
Yeah, it's LeBlanc, if software.
Yeah, honestly.
But what if code? And now a new one, Crime City Nightmare. In a city where drink is cheap and life is cheaper, eldritch horrors lurk in the shadows, preying upon mankind's greed and envy. Backroom black markets have given rise to elixirs, a valuable magical export whose production spells money and influence should any gang find a way to corner the market. vying for control with the help of twisted, unearthly terrors. Enforcers, mob bosses, and cronies alike invite unknowable corruption in for a chance at true power.
Cool.
Which I always forget when looking at the skins that are part of this, that it has like such a supernatural, like unearthly element to it, because they all just are like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good idea for a skin line. I think really good skin lines will take like two ideas and kind of swirl them together. You know, like cyber pop or whatever it is, where it's like music but also cyberpunk. But I feel like people really didn't like this because of that, this skin line for that exact reason. Where like that eldritch horror part of it maybe doesn't read super hard and in the skins. I could be wrong.
I will say, I mean, I love the idea of it too, but yeah, I will say it doesn't come across in the skins themselves. Like, if you don't read the lore, if I were to just look at the skins, I'd have no fucking clue. And part of that could also just be because the new skins that they added, I mean, probably fit that bill better, but they rolled in a bunch of really old skins into this skin line when they reworked it, and obviously those weren't ever made with the intention of
Sure.
that.
That's fair.
But if they do release more, I would love to see that supernatural more.
Yeah.
'Cause that'd be super cool. But this one's Debonair LeBlanc. Seemingly at every event in the city at once, LeBlanc is a ubiquitous presence throughout the strip. Her unparalleled ability to schmooze matched only by her mysterious origins. There was a time when certain naysayers connected her to Crime City, but as they say, never cross Lady LeBlanc. They do say that. I've heard it said a million times. And the last two are Snowdown Showdown, which are their winter skins, separated into Santas, elves, gifts, and Snowdown inhabitants. And this one is Mistletoe LeBlanc. LeBlanc's wicked illusions grow only more powerful during Snowdown, when the season of giving takes hold and people are at their most gullible. Her enchanting looks only serve to draw more victims in, becoming pawns in her inscrutable games.
Inscrutable.
Ah. I thought she was going to be good in this one.
Oh,
You'd think
that
so,
would've been
right?
nice.
Yeah, right? Like, give her
She
one.
got the one good one.
Yeah.
And the last one is Harrowing. This one is Ravenborn.
Okay.
LeBlanc loves nothing more than showing up as her high society rivals. Let me reread that. LeBlanc loves nothing more than showing up as her high society rivals at the annual holiday gala. Besides, taking a spin as the season's most fashionable witch will teach those Dukutos not to upstage her garden parties. So she just goes to parties disguised as people she doesn't like.
That sounds fun as hell.
Yeah.
Right?
That's almost like, that's like very like Jinx mischiefy almost.
Yeah, that's mischievous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a little bit more. Petty. Really fucking petty.
Yeah,
LeBlanc.
so petty. Like, you just go with somebody you don't like and like dip someone's tie in their drink or something.
Because they upstaged your party.
Yeah.
It's very Maleficent. Why wasn't
It's
I
very-
invited?
It's almost like her Cruella de Vil skin, frankly. Or like that's what makes me think of almost,
Yeah.
you know.
Which unfortunately does not have any lore.
I love that skin.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites too.
I know. It's the one you played for a long time. All right, hit those fun facts.
So her name means the white in French.
I guess that's
LeBlanc.
I guess it's like they call her the Pale Woman a couple times in some of the
Yeah.
lore pieces. And that's I think to do with that.
I wonder if it's weird to play LeBlanc, like, when you're in France. Like, could you imagine if you were playing a French game and someone's name was just the White,
You know,
but like one word?
I would. Well, I guess one more. I don't know. I would be down with that. It's an interesting kind of like tied moniker, I guess, for somebody. I don't know. If you said there's a champion and that's their name, I'd be like, okay, what's the deal with them? But then they're just some lady. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, LeBlanc is only one of many of the monikers of the Pale Woman. So, again, we don't really know what her name is.
Sure. It's Steve.
Probably like, I was going to say it's like Stacy or something.
Riot has both confirmed and denied that LeBlanc is part of the Triferics.
Oh, really? I saw the denial. I didn't see the confirmation.
Yeah, so Riot Scathelock said, Swain isn't stupid. He's not letting the Black Rose anywhere near government again. I'm serious. The Faceless is not LeBlanc. That would absolutely make Swain a complete moron and undermine the entirety of both their backstories. While Riot Interlocutioner, who was part of the remake team, said, if Swain ignored her, he'd be dead. Swain keeps her close because he believes in his ability to manage the challenge, and LeBlanc and Swain intrigue each other. It's only hinted in his backstory, but Swain killed LeBlanc with his own hand during a high society waltz only for her to reappear again. That could scare him, it could enrage him, or it could intrigue him.
I mean, I feel like this was what I felt reading like that, saying like, oh, it's absolutely not. That makes no sense. It makes him stupid. It's like, well, I mean, the thing is that LeBlanc's like really good. Like that to me is almost like undermining the competency of like LeBlanc, right? Like, yeah, Swain is, he knows a lot and he's smart, but she's also smart. Like that's the dynamic is they're both like skilled duelists, and it's like a feint and a counter feint, right? It's like, it seems almost a little poetic that, you know, she would be on the Triferix or one of her clones or something, and maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But to say like, oh, like, oh, he'd be a fucking idiot if that was the case. It's like, well, that's kind of what she's doing. That's her whole point, is that she's trying to worm her way into these positions anyway. I don't know.
That's just taking a hard stance that Swain is better and smarter and more powerful than LeBlanc, which we don't necessarily get that from their stories.
They're like equals, and that's what's fun about that whole dynamic is, you know.
I do like the idea that the Deceiver is LeBlanc and that Swain knows now, but maybe didn't know right away. But, I think it makes sense that he would maybe keep her close as well.
Sure. I just like the idea she's so good at her fucking job. He's like, I can't find anyone else to fill this position. I hate her, but goddamn it, she's really good at this.
She's fucking good at this,
For like Noxus, I guess.
It serves like
we've all had that one coworker.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
God damn it, I hate you, but you're fucking good.
God damn it, you're fucking competent. I've had this posting for 3 years, and I can't find anyone else to come fill this position.
Yeah.
Now, it's implied that the Demon of Secrets, who Swain controls, was also used by LeBlanc, but she couldn't control it like he does.
Oh, really? Where is that? What's the source on that? I'm curious.
I forget.
Okay. That's a really interesting idea to play with.
It was a bunch of, and I say implied because it's like pieced together from a bunch of various quotes about, I forget what the different parts were Swain wanting her demon back was one of the things, and the Swain one being that when he essentially found a way to control the demon was also like, oh, I was expecting you to come in here and use me, but this is something I've never experienced before. I didn't know that you could control me. Interesting.
Because like I know in like Legends of Runeterra, they have a little interaction where she seems to at least be aware of it, where she's like, oh, is it your hand or the demon's hand or something? So at the very least, she's in the know. Which makes sense. She's been around for millennia, whatever. It's an interesting idea to play around with more.
And it's a good demon, you would assume that would be exactly the type of demon that she would want to, just one that just knows secrets.
Can I just say too, like back to the thing we were talking about before, I like the idea that LeBlanc is so good at deceiving people, even rioters don't know what the fuck's going on. It's not internal miscommunication. She's just that good.
I love it. And yes, we mentioned this before, but LeBlanc and Swain are confirmed rivals, lovers, and nemesis, according to the Rework Crew's AMA.
I do like the idea that they just bang sometimes.
I mean,
it's another thing they got to admit that they're good at with each
other. She pulls these moves. It's like there's 6 of her in the room.
And then she eats them right in front of me.
I leave for that part. I catch a smoke outside.
That's her finishing move in the bedroom. Fatality.
Sexuality.
I don't know. I don't think Sway would leave the room for that. He might be into it. He'll help. Oh god, this is getting weird. All right, let's move on to my next one.
Okay. Here are some interactions between LeBlanc and her spies from Legends of Runeterra. And these also kind of... We had talked a little bit before about the whole kidnapping of Jarvan IV as part of like a Runeterra thing, but here are also a few quotes that imply that the death of Jarvan III may have also been more directly related to her spies. Black Rose spy, of 2 golden crowns, 1 bears tarnish. LeBlanc, and now we wait. And then LeBlanc, what news from the west, Lord Malat? Incisive technician, a golden crown, soon to be broken.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another card in there. I don't know if you're going to get to it. It's not the spies, but there's a card in there. It's a really powerful one called Atticon? Atticon? I don't know. Bringer of Ruin. He looks very Mordekaiser-y, and from what I can kind of pick up is that he seems like he was maybe one of the members of Mordekaiser's inner circle, and the Black Rose is kind of bringing him back for to do their bidding, whatever that might be.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. But she seems to control him, whatever he is. Some weird guy.
And then the other quote that we were talking about regarding her clones is, ugh, another clone gone rogue. Now, we have some LeBlanc connections to various champions.
Okay.
Darius, because, not only has he dealt with Black Rose in the past, but he's also part of the Triferics, which we can presume LeBlanc is also a part of, despite confirmation and denial on the part of Riot. Ezreal was specifically noticed by the Black Rose when he was in Noxus and was given kind of a sternly worded threat to leave. Echo fought members of the Black Rose.
Oh.
Wait, when was this?
Katarina is Cassiopeia's sister. I'm going to have to look up the source on that one, too.
Okay.
Mordekaiser, obviously, betrayed by LeBlanc. Pike murdered the crew from a Black Rose shipment. Riven's blade was enchanted by LeBlanc. Rek'Sai interfered with a Black Rose shipment. It really seems like they need to get their shipment line in order here.
They got to get their ship
I
together.
know what the Echo one is, by the way. Now that it's from that same cinematic that Pike was in, where it's like the incisive tactician and the Black Rose spy, I think, or in that animated cinematic.
Oh, right.
Legends
It was
of
the
Runeterra.
new one
Yes.
that got released right after we did the Echo episode.
Yes, yeah, that's why it wasn't ringing a bell. It's because we didn't talk about it in an episode. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and they're Black Rose folk, and he does fight them. Yeah.
We talked about Rel. Renekton, obviously, accidentally freed by Cassiopeia during her mission in Shurima. She's got Black Rose connections. Scion, resurrected by the Black Rose. Sivir, hired and backstabbed by Cassiopeia. Swain, obviously. Samira's handler, Captain Indara, was working for the Black Rose when he got the quest to track down Rel. Vhagar was also one of the members inside Mordekaiser's inner sanctum. And when Mordekaiser was locked away, he just fucking split. And Xerath, also freed by Cassiopeia during her mission in Shurima. So everybody ties back to the Black Rose.
So you're saying is everything is literally LeBlanc's fault in all of Runeterra.
Everything.
Ever.
Everything in Runeterra.
Yay. Are we good? Any final LeBlanc thoughts?
I guess the only thing is that I don't know if this is a result of the weird kind of like rework and then revert that she got, but I feel like her in-game doesn't really line up with a lot of how she's depicted, because she's got like the clones and the passive, but like both like Zed and Nico kind of hit that fantasy better, like Zed with having a bunch of like, clones that kind of do stuff, and then Nico with like, talk about deception, right? Like that, like, Nico's whole passive seems to kind of line up a lot more with that. So
yeah,
that's kind of a shame. Oh, the voice actress is Carrie Karanen, who is also Lux's VO, I think.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Yeah.
Very different tone.
Lux has been LeBlanc all along.
I mean, sure, fuck it,
girl.
right? Put it on the pile. Oh, Other thing is, I find it funny that LeBlanc is preparing for like Mordekaiser's return because that shit's never gonna fucking happen. She's gonna be sitting there like a SpongeBob title card, like 27 years later or 1,000 years later, just waiting for Mordekaiser to show back up. You know, because nothing ever happens in Runeterra.
Right.
All right. Well, that was LeBlanc. I think we did it. Thank you for listening. Yay! You can find us on Twitter. We're at Loreheads. And we have a YouTube channel where we post these. And John has a few parody songs and hopefully another one soon. You know,
I mean, I just looked up the lyrics. There's so few lyrics.
Make a new verse.
Kind of depends on the music video.
Okay, never mind then.
I'll think of something.
He won't have a new one up soon.
I'll work on it.
We also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Loreheads. John does Monday evening streamings, doing TFT, trying to climb new diamond. Sorry. Wow, you look so offended when I said plat. I'm really sorry, diamond.
I mean, I'm not there. I'm not at plat yet, so who knows? Maybe that's still aspirational.
No. And then Saturdays, sometimes during the day, sometimes in the evening, we'll play regular old League. Badly. So watch
It's our specialty.
Yeah. We have a Patreon as well. Thank you so much to all of our patrons.
But a special thank you to our Medarda tier patrons, King of Hearts, Jeremy Rich, and Mylect. Thank you all so much. You are amazing. And if you didn't listen to the previous show, King of Hearts joined us.
It wasn't. No.
Well, no. If you didn't hear the Kindred episode, King of Hearts joined us for that one. So thank you all so much. We're excited to have the rest of you on.
Yeah. And be sure to join us next week because we're going to talk about the blind monk Lee Sin.